Hello, everyone, and good evening, and welcome to another edition of Wednesday Warrior Weekly. I'm Ferran Burgundy, and I'll be bringing the action here to you. We've got a great race with a lot of our great runners here on Dragon Warrior Randomizer. Quite a few, to say the least, and we have four of our featured runners here: Ryu Station, Mr. Holmes, Lavkian, and Up to NG. Apologies for the delay. We had a little technical issues to get through, but we are just about set to go. The object of Dragon Warrior, for those unfamiliar, is for our racers to find and defeat the evil Dragon Lord. They'll need to collect certain key items to trade in for the Rainbow Drop, which will allow the runners to enter Charlotte Castle, home of the Dragon Lord. They will also fight enemies one at a time to gain experience and levels to get stronger, as well as gold, and to purchase weapons, armor, and items to help in their quest. Now, what is randomized here in Dragon Warrior Randomizer? Well, a lot of things, to say the least. The map, treasure chest, and search spot contents are all randomized, as are the town and cave locations, the weapon and armor shop contents, the order of spells learned, although they're guaranteed to learn all 10 spells by level 16, as well as the enemy locations. The enemy spells and abilities are shuffled around, and the Dragon Lord, which in the vanilla version of Dragon Warrior has 130 hit points, this time has a range of 150 to 165 to kind of shake things up for our runners. So we're just about getting things squared away and set up here. Looks like a slight change. It looks like we are set to go here. So the king is going to be giving the instructions, and there will be 3 treasure chests that can have just about anything in them, and that could certainly help or hinder the run depending on how things go. And we're starting off with the torch, which will help in the caves, the magic key, as well as a second magic key. So this will allow them early access to various things throughout the area, including, oh wow, they've got 2 spells to start off with, Radiant and Return, so they'll be able to hold on to both of those keys. So our runners are going to first head over to the treasury here in Tanagel Castle, and they're going to find some gold, as well as yet another magic key, and the death necklace. We'll get more into that a little bit later here, as well as another torch that can help them see the way in caves. So this will allow for some early exploration, as they won't have to worry about finding keys, so they can go and purchase them here, as Mr. Holmes worrying about this non-playable character, NPC, getting in the way. So that will make things considerably easier going along, but now, well, they're going to probably purchase those keys, perhaps maybe save. They'll also check what is going on in the basement of Tanagel, which could be a number of different caves. It could be access to another treasure chest, perhaps, and it looks like it is the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight cave, so it's in its regular location, and there's even more money. So our runners are more than likely going to save here and then try to venture out to see if there's a nearby town, but they're also going to maybe try and fight an enemy or two, and, well, they're finding out that ghosts have the spell of hurt. At least Up to NG is finding that out here. Meanwhile, the nearby cave just southwest of Tanagel is the Rainbow Drop Cave, which will have, that's where you'll trade in all those items for the Rainbow Drop Cave. It's also affectionately known as the Jerk Cave, because if you don't have the respective items, well, he'll kick you out of the cave. And Up to NG, meanwhile, has found a town. He has found the town of Breckenary, which looks like the only thing that he's able to afford is a small shield. He is just 17 gold short of a large shield, so he's going to have to hold off on that. So that'll give 4 defensive points to Up to NG, getting the small shield. And meanwhile, Lavkian finding out that the Drakies have the spell of Hurt More. So they usually a very easy enemy in the game, not this time around. And meanwhile, Mr. Holmes finding out that Wolves have the spell of Stop Spell, and Up to NG finding out that Drolls have the spell of Hurt. And now Mr. Holmes is going to make his way into Breckenary, and is going to do a little shopping and also see that the small shield is all that there is. Meanwhile, Ryu Station opting to nope out, and Mr. Holmes going to start from scratch and is going to basically reset from there. So a little bit of a, yeah, a little bit of in a sense, a reset here. Yes, there's gold both in the treasury and in the basement of Tanagal. As Reusation, well, getting a little overzealous and just getting outside of the base zone and gets knocked out by a skeleton, is going to lose half of his gold. Meanwhile, up to NG finding out about the Drakies with Hurtmore. And Lavkian trying to get away from the ghost and is put to sleep and is slept and wrecked. So Lavkian going to head back to the castle. Meanwhile, Mr. Holmes regaining the items and is going to set up a gold grind here early on. And what that is chests, they respawn every time you go to the overworld map, but due to the programming limits at the time the game was made, the game only tracks up to 8 chests as opened at any given time. And every chest opened beyond the 8th chest can be taken over and over again. Now, usually this is done by taking at least 2 chests from a cave, death warping back to the castle, or getting back to the castle by means of being killed. And then from there, 3 chests are marked as taken when you enter the throne room, so you don't take those opening chests more than once. And then they'll go to the castle treasury in the hopes that by the 9th chest, they'll be able to continually take anywhere between 500 to 750 gold over and over again. Now, what Mr. Holmes has done is he took the 3 chests in the throne room to start the game, headed out of the throne room, went back into the throne room to get the other 3 chests marked as open, so that made 6, opened 2 of the chests in the treasury, and was able to utilize the gold grind and was able to amass a fortune, as you see, in a very short period of time. And now up to NG, it looks like utilizing that same strategy. Lavkian, meanwhile, is trying to fight some slimes, and oh, the slime has hurt as well. The lower level enemies are providing some trouble, to say the least. And we have a note in chat that the timer seems to not be running. Meanwhile, Reusation is purchasing some herbs over in Brecconary that generally heals about 25 to 30 hit points. And it looks like Mr. Holmes' screen, at least for the moment, has frozen. Perhaps it's just running slow from looking around all that gold. I'm not sure. And Lavkian, meanwhile, has advanced to level 2 and is able to take out the Drakies now with a little bit more strength. Until finding out about the Hurtmore spell there. And now we see Mr. Holmes is just trying to run away from every enemy possible and take that 18,000 plus gold with him down to Brecconary to spend on a litany of different weapons and armor to get an early advantage here. And oh no, Mr. Holmes quickly resetting as he found the Red Dragon, one of the toughest enemies in the game, affectionately known as the Fun Police. And wow, look at that hit point gain for level 2, 46 hit points. It's one of the biggest that I've seen. And Mr. Holmes with another reset, and up to NG also resetting after encountering the Red Dragon. Both utilizing the same idea. Reusation and Lavkian, meanwhile, they are fighting their way, but now they have the advantage, having gained that level of a lot more hit points, able to absorb a lot more damage. Whereas up to NG, well, he tried to get away from the Red Dragon, and that did not quite work out so well. And you see already Lavkian able to withstand 1 casting of Hurtmore, but not 2, and that's going to send him back to the castle. Reusation, meanwhile, dealing with a ghost, and we know that they have the combination of sleep and hurt. And meanwhile, Mr. Holmes has made it to Breckenary, and he's got a flame sword, a magic armor, and the large shield. Those are the respective second best weapon, armor, and shield that money, well, it's the best that money can buy. The silver shield being the only better option. And meanwhile, looks like Reusation has found the town of Garanham. So what this will do is this will allow for 3 more chests to be opened. So we'll see what is in those as they're behind a locked door. So once we get past these non-playable characters, we see that there is the silver harp. That's one of the essential items. Also the wings. And we have the fighter's ring, which will add 2 attack power to the player's total once it is put on, which Ryu did. So he has the fighter's ring. And, a bit of an overstep there. So that's going to cost, that's going to send Ryu out of the town. And that's going to cost him a little bit of time as he has to make his way back through. And it's going to cost him a key as well. Because once you leave the town, the doors respawn. So I mentioned the essential items, the silver harp, as well as the, oh goodness, Noriestra with the Drogon Lord emoji in chat. That threw me off for a little bit. But yes, the silver harp, the Stones of Sunlight, and Eric's token, the 3 items that are needed. As now Up to NG was in Breckenary and is casting Return to head back and do a little exploration. Meanwhile, we're going to see what's in the basement of Garanham, and it is a cave. And it looks to be Swamp Cave South. So this will lead them to something in the other end, but we won't find out what right now because the Magiwyvern takes out Reusation. Meanwhile, Mr. Holmes quickly getting up to level 4 with that equipment gain, and Up to NG finding out the good news about the 46 hit point gain for level 2. So Ryu, meanwhile, is going to head back into the treasury as Lavkian, well, lucking out by getting the spell of Hurt cast by the Red Dragon, the Fun Police, but still not having that many hit points. It still takes him out and sends him back to the castle. And Mr. Holmes obtaining and donning the Scale of the Dragon Scale, that adds an additional 2 defense points to your total. And Mr. Holmes checking out the shops and realizing that there's nothing better than what he already has, opts against it. And Reusation now is going to get the gold grind going. And Mr. Holmes finding and putting on the fighter's ring. As Up to NG having a little trouble with the skeleton, but is able to take it out. That'll give him 25 experience, and that'll get him up to the next level. Now, Lavkian, meanwhile, getting some exploration in, and runs into an armored knight, another one of the tougher enemies of the game that has Hurt, and Hurt is enough to take it out. The Dragon Warrior community knowing the armored knight is the AK-47, an affectionate nickname for it, and Up to NG now getting up to level 5. With a lot of strength and agility and very little hit points and magic points. As I believe the experience levels are very fast this time around. Normally they're played under a fast C, but I guess they wanted to move things up a little bit, and something that I believe was unbeknownst to me here. And up to NG, taking out another skeleton. Meanwhile, Mr. Holmes finding the town of Cole and is going to search in the search spot that is there, and it is an item that's in its vanilla location. It is the fairy flute. I saw that Mr. Holmes had a cursed belt. I'm not sure where exactly that was picked up. And Mr. Holmes looking for the elusive silver shield, but not able to find it there, as he already has the best weapon that money can buy, as well as the best armor. The only better weapon and armor in the game are Erdrick's sword, which is found in a treasure chest somewhere along the way, as well as Erdrick's armor, which is in a search spot, which we now know is only one of two that are left. And that would be either in the town of Hawk's Nest or somewhere on the overworld. As we see now, getting up to level 4 is Lavkian. Rheostation struggling a little bit with a magician, but with the bamboo pole that would certainly be understandable, but having the hit points able to take care of it, and an excellent move, a critical hit for Mr. Holmes on a wizard, not quite enough to take it out, but another attack does, and that's a huge 120 experience. And now casting the Spell of Radiant, and Mr. Holmes has found the Mountain Cave, which has 5 treasure chests inside of it. And we shall see what is among those there. Pending an enemy taking him out, and a nice MP gain for Ryu, getting to level 4. And the Gold Man, oddly enough, getting Mr. Holmes up to level 7 with a nice hit point and, a nice strength and magic point gain. As Lavkian makes his way through the swamp cave south to north. And we have a dragon scale in the first chest in the mountain cave. 4 more to go. Ooh, and Lavkian getting knocked out by a demon knight. As up to NG, working on trying to do a little bit of level grinding early before venturing out. So a few different strategies being employed here. As all but up to NG having found the Silver Harp, one of the key items. They'll be trading in that Silver Harp for the Staff of Rain once they find that particular cave. And meanwhile, Mr. Holmes finding an herb and some gold. A little bit more big bucks here. Now 2 more chests to find. And the 4th one contains a magic key. And it'll be a little trek to get there, but we'll see if the werewolf stops him here. As meanwhile, heading to level 7 is up to NG. Lavkian, meanwhile, heading back into the basement and is getting the gold from the Tanagel basement. Ryu doing some exploration. And is running away from a wolf lord, and the wolf family has been rather challenging this seed thus far. As now Mr. Holmes getting up to level 8. Here about 17 and a half minutes in. And now taking a look here in the Stones of Sunlight. That is another one of the essential items that are needed here to complete the game. So Mr. Holmes with 2 of the 3. He's got the Stones of Sunlight and the Silver Harp. He'll trade in that Silver Harp for the Staff of Rain, and also needs to find Erdrick's Token, which in the vanilla version of the game is searchable on the overworld spot, but here it can be either in a search spot or in a treasure chest. We know not which. At least not as of yet. And now the Werewolf giving Mr. Holmes a little bit of trouble. Up to NG, meanwhile, in Garenham. So he's moments away from getting his Silver Harp. And does so, as well as getting the Fighter's Ring. And, Ryusation getting ambushed by a wolf and getting hit with the dreaded Dragon Lord Breath that does anywhere between 64 and 72 hit points of damage. A quick wreckage, to say the least. Up to NG, meanwhile, is in a cave and navigating in the dark. Mr. Holmes looking to take the long way out of the mountain cave. And successfully does so. And is heading westward toward a town, but a metal scorpion getting in the way. Meanwhile, the, I guess, slightly easier cousin of the regular scorpion, giving Lavkian a slight bit of trouble, but able to take it out, and that's going to get Lavkian up to level 5. And Mr. Holmes, meanwhile, has found the town of Hawksnest. So there's a guardian enemy here, and it's the Red Dragon. What is he going to do here? He's going to cast Stop Spell. Not a bad idea to try to get some free attacks with the hurt spell that the Red Dragon may cast, and it looks like it's casting it quite a bit. And meanwhile, Ryu taking a risk with 63 hit points and gets hit for 67 with that Dragon Lord Breath, and that's going to do it for him. Meanwhile, Mr. Holmes chipping away at the Red Dragon, who is casting hurt quite a bit and having it blocked thanks to the Stop Spell. And he's going to take out the Red Dragon and is going to get a level for his troubles. As it casts hurt 75% of the time, and in its vanilla location is the Erdrick's Armor, the best armor in the game. Meanwhile, Up to NG has found the Staff of Rain Cave. So he's going to trade in that Silver Harp for the Staff of Rain. And Ryu, meanwhile, has found the town of Rimeldar, which isn't as exciting this particular seed because we already have keys and have had them for a while. So normally this is the one town where you have free access to purchase magic keys, but since they have a plethora of them to start, it kind of takes a little bit of the wind out of the sails of the town. And meanwhile, the Cursed Belt being found in Rimeldar's hidden spot. Almost a little bit of a whammy prize in a sense. So already a lot of things being found pretty early on here in this seed as Ryu goes to another town here and he sees the town of Cole. So he's going to get his fairy flute in a moment here. To answer the question from Len the Cat in chat, the Cursed Belt is pretty much not a lot of good. Really, the only thing that it can do is pretty early on in the game, if you acquire it, you can sell it at an item shop and gain 180 gold from it, which can be used to purchase some things early on. But considering how quickly they've been able to acquire gold, at this point, it doesn't do a whole lot. And if you put on the Cursed Belt, well, it does just that. It curses you, meaning that if you die and go back to the castle, the king immediately kicks you out, says, "Thou art cursed, be gone with you," or something along those lines. And you can't go back in to save your game or anything of that nature. And you'd have to go to the town of Breckenary, where there is a man who can remove the curse. Thankfully for free. And now Ryusation has found the mountain cave. So he's going to go in and, provided he gets all the way down, he'll be able to get his Stones of Sunlight. And meanwhile, Lavkian is going to find the unfortunate news of the cursed belt inside of Rimmildar. Now, as far as treasure chests, there's not too terribly many, as all that's left here is the 5 in Garen's Grave, as well as the Tablet Cave, and then should Erdrick's Sword, the best sword in the game, not be in any of these 6 chests there, then it would be in one of these 7 treasure chests in Charlotte Castle, home of the Dragon Lord. Now, Mr. Holmes, proving why he is one of the better players here in this game, already jumping out to a huge experience lead up to level 10 already. Up to NG, not too terribly far behind at level 8. But he also had that advantage of taking out the Red Dragon, and the Red Dragon being one of 3 enemies in the game that give the maximum the maximum experience points, I should say, of 255. The others being the Golem and the Metal Slime. So Ryu now finding the gold and the herb. Now, it said that it was empty because when you have the maximum amount of herbs that you can carry, same thing with the maximum amount of magic keys. Once you have 6, that is the max that you can carry, and if you try to carry more, it'll just say that it is empty. Mr. Holmes doing a little navigating, and up to NG is going to open the doors as well and get his cursed belt, and probably have a curse or 2 to say about it. Meanwhile, Ryu has picked up the Stones of Sunlight, or at least he shall in a moment once he picks something to drop, and he'll drop the Dragon Scale. So now he has one of the crucial items here. Lavkian having a little trouble with a werewolf. As up to NG now in Cole, he's going to get his fairy flute in a moment. Meanwhile, Ryu's station in the second level of the mountain cave. Or actually went back up to the first, a little virtual high five between Ryu and Lavkian as Ryu's taking on a Magiwyvern, as Lavkian heading back on down. That's right, none of our runners have the spell of Outside yet, at least that I've seen. So the only way to get out of the cave, unless you decide to take a death, is to take the long way out and trek your way back on through. And up to NG has found a cave as well, and I believe he's now in the mountain cave. And don't forget to follow Randomania on Twitter at the Twitter handle Randomizer Mania, where you can get updates on upcoming races as well as other great information. That's Randomizer Mania on Twitter. And Mr. Holmes, he has taken out a werewolf, and that's going to get him up to level 11 with a 34 attack gain. No MP and only 2 hit points. And look at the spells as well. He's got Heal More and Hurt More. I mean, he's had Heal More for a while, but Hurt More, the big news there. And Ryu has found Hawk's Nest, so he's going to momentarily check out the Red Dragon. And we have a Charlock sighting, as well as the town of Cantlin. So Mr. Holmes is beelining it, more than likely for the... Yep, he's going to head on over to talk to the old man through the spike tiles that he doesn't have to worry about because he has the armor and, very easy coordinates. 15 north and 16 west from Tanagel Castle is where the overworld search spot is. And based on process of elimination, because there is an overworld search spot, and because we have already found the Erdrick's armor and the Fairy Flute, that means that by default it is going to be Erdrick's Token. So all 3 items in their vanilla locations this time around in terms of these search spots. So up to NG now taking out a Wizard. He's at level 9. Lavkia, meanwhile, at level 6 and is making his way out of the mountain cave. And Ryu is down to his last heal more. Is he going to be able to take out the red dragon here? And Mr. Holmes just picking up the Erdrick's Token. So all he needs at this point is to trade in the Silver Harp and do a little bit of searching and digging here, and he'll be just about in go mode to head on to Charlotte Castle. Meanwhile, Ryu Station took out the red dragon and got a level as well as the Erdrick's armor. Meanwhile, Lavkian is now up to level 7. And speaking of up to NG, he takes out the Droll Magi here and is now making his way reversing through the mountain cave. And now Lavkian's going to try his hand at the red dragon guarding the Erdrick's armor. So Mr. Holmes back in Garenham now. He is going to make his way to the back of Garenham and head on into Swamp Cave South. Now, I wonder if this is to traverse through, or is he going to take a look at what the guardian enemy is of Princess Gwaelin? As yes, there is a princess that can be rescued, but generally isn't. At least not in this type of speed run here. The only time you generally see the princess being rescued is if the coordinates for the overworld item are rather difficult. But in this case, is Lavkian falling to the red dragon and now up to NG and Hawksnest, he's going to give it a try. And Mr. Holmes not even bothering with that, at least not for the moment, and is going to do some exploration on the other continent. As Ryu is now back in Rimeldar, perhaps for an in-stay. And indeed does that. So up to NG using the stop spell on the red dragon. That'll make things a little bit easier as he tries to take him out to get Erdrick's armor. And Mr. Holmes walking all around here and is able to do so much easily through those swamp tiles because of Erdrick's armor. It's not only is it the strongest armor in the game, but it has so many other benefits. Every step that you take, well, you heal 1 hit point towards your maximum. Also, well, as we see Mr. Holmes now in the Staff of Rain cave, so he's going to get the Staff of Rain. So he has everything just about that he needs. He can trade all those in for the Rainbow Drop. But still a little under-leveled as far as looking to take on the Dragon Lord. So Lavkian, meanwhile, running away from a Demon Knight. As Up to NG continues to battle the Red Dragon. And it looks like on Ryu's Station side, I believe we have the Grave of Garen, in which he is in. But we'll find out once he goes through the rather minimal stats here. And yes, so we have 3 chests up top, including the Cursed Belt. And also we have some big bucks and Erdrick's Sword. Bingo, the best sword in the game for Ryu's Station. That giving 40 attack power on top of your base strength. As opposed to the Flame Sword, which gave 28. So it's an increase of 12 attack power. Which will certainly help in the goings-on here. So that already putting his attack power up to 98, which won't even make a dent in the Dragon Lord, so he still has some levels to go. But is now going to head on into the grave further. There are 2 more treasure chests that are down there. Meanwhile, Mr. Holmes doing a little more meandering around. And he finds the Rainbow Drop Cave and is going to trade those items in. So Mr. Holmes now has the Rainbow Drop and can use it to build a bridge over to Charlotte Castle, should he so choose. Or maybe he's going to look for some place to do a little bit of level grinding. It is hard to say. As up to NG, well, now, speaking of level grinding, I guess he is going to try his hand at gaining some levels via the Red Dragon. A bit of a bold strategy. We will see if it pays off. As Ryu now heads deeper into the grave, and after heading through this stairway here, will make his way along a path to the 4th of the 5 treasure chests. And meanwhile, Lavkian falling once again to the Red Dragon in Hawk's Nest. Meanwhile, up to NG, utilizing some healing, and is going to go back at it and try to get one more Red Dragon here before using all of his resources, as Ryu Seishin getting up to level 10 with some modest gains. And wow, what a hit on the Red Dragon. And Mr. Holmes doing the calculating. And we see a torch in the 4th of 5 chests. And Mr. Holmes thought about it, but not quite there, although he knows he's close. He figures maybe one more level and he might be able to make the dive down, although he is heading over here to the inn. So perhaps maybe he is going to make a run at it. Mr. Holmes does tend to be a bit risky, a bit gutsy. As Ryu Seishin making his way back through, and now is going to head down to the last of the 5 treasure chests inside Garen's grave. Meanwhile, Mr. Holmes, he is heading into Charlock. Perhaps this is an explorational dive. Perhaps, well, he's perhaps playing the odds, as he has not yet found Erdrick's sword. And maybe he thinks it's down there in the basement of Charlock. We know differently, as we have found that it is in Garen's grave. So could that perhaps be something that may chip into the lead that Mr. Holmes has? And Mr. Holmes running into some problems with the Blue Dragon, including some Dragon Lord breath. And, oh, he tried to run away, and he does so with 3 hit points. I told you he was gutsy. Oh, but the Stone Man takes him out. So maybe this will cause Mr. Holmes to rethink his strategy, as he's 794 experience away from level 13. As Ryu Seishin heading further and further into the grave, as Lavkian takes out an Armored Knight, and he's going to get up to level 8. And getting a lot of 8s for his efforts. Meanwhile, Ryu up to level 11. And up to NG is just about caught up here in terms of experience. He's up to level 12 and nipping at Mr. Holmes' heels. But he still has to find Erdrick's token. And Mr. Holmes changing direction here, and this perhaps could be something beneficial here for him, as it looks as though he is in Garen's grave as well. So Mr. Holmes just moments away from picking up the Erdrick sword as well, and Ryu getting all the way down there just to find an herb. A little bit disappointed there as Mr. Holmes gets Erdrick's sword. So that's going to add another 12 attack power to his already robust total. So for the moment, that puts him at 142 attack power. So once he gets down to the Dragon Lord, the second form of the Dragon Lord, he'll be doing, on average, between 10 and 21 hit points of damage. That'll be the range. But his hit points are just a little low. So maybe he's going to find somewhere. Maybe he'll fight his way down. That's certainly a possibility as well. Because he's so close, he's got to get to the target number of 4,125 experience to get to level 13, which looks like Up to NG just did. So now Mr. Holmes back in Sherlock Castle. Reasation stocking up in Breckenary, and Lavkian having some more trouble with his friend, the Red Dragon. And Mr. Holmes just pacing the top floor of Sherlock Castle. And now running into a golem. We haven't seen too many of those, but you can see doing significant damage, hitting for 52 with that rather potent attack power. But it is certainly not a bad idea, as that'll get him 255 experience. As meanwhile, Ryu has found the Tablet Cave. The one treasure chest not in Sherlock that we have yet to find, and the Blue Dragon using the Dragon Lord Breath, and that's going to send Mr. Holmes back to the castle as Lavkian gets up to level 9. And it looks as though that was an empty chest, so I believe that was either an herb or a magic key. As Up to NG gets the coordinates now. We'll have to see if Ryu accesses his items at any point to be able to see if perhaps that was either an herb or a magic key. I'm thinking it was probably an herb. And now a notable gain at level 13 for Mr. Holmes. So now Up to NG finding Erdrick's token. Ryu, meanwhile, is getting the coordinates, and he's going to make his way over to find the token of Erdrick. And Mr. Holmes heading over to Breckenary, also known as 6 Town, because the gold needed to stay at the inn is only 6 gold, the least expensive throughout Alfgard, throughout all the land. And we saw a brief flash of the stats from Mr. Holmes, and it's looking pretty good. He's got the bare minimum 97 hit points, but he has 144 attack power. So that'll get him a range of 11 to 22 on Dragon Lord 2. And with the 98 MP that he has, that, I would say that is pretty good to go. I think he is in go mode, and he is making his way down. So things looking pretty good here for Mr. Holmes thus far. So Lavkian heading back into Hawk's Nest and is going to try once again with the Red Dragon, as Up to NG acquiring and using the Rainbow Drop. Now he's also at level 13. Now the only difference is Up to NG did not find Erdrick's sword, so he has 12 less attack power, but is still opting to go. And while it won't be as easy, on average, Up to NG does have the stats to be able to go and take on the Dragon Lord. It may just be a longer fight for Up to NG once he gets down there than it would be for Mr. Holmes because of that attack power differential. As Ryu getting the Staff of Rain. So now with the coordinates, I would imagine he's going to do some quick counting here. As Lavkian finally takes out the Red Dragon. So that's going to get him a level, and it's going to get him the Erdrick's sword. Or Erdrick's armor, I should say. Meanwhile, Ryu has acquired the Rainbow Drop, and looks like he's heading to a town to perhaps heal up. But for the moment, it looks like it is between Mr. Holmes and Up to NG. Holmes with a little bit of a sprint lead, I suppose, as well as that attack power advantage. Now, Up to NG, I guess fighting because he figured that would be easier than trying to run away from the Red Dragon. As now both runners having to use a heal more. Actually, Mr. Holmes having to use 2. So he's down to 82 MP. That's only 10 heal mores. So he's doing the calculations. He's thinking about it. And I guess this dive, he might be able to pull it off, but it might also just be an informational dive, seeing perhaps what the Guardian mini-boss, as it were, would be for the Dragon Lord. Or maybe he feels that he still has the numbers and stats to be able to get it done. We shall soon find out. And perhaps Mr. Holmes opting to do a little bit of selective fighting on the way down, as that now gets him over the 5,000 experience mark. So 5625 is the target number to get to level 14, but in doing that fighting, now a little bit of a lead for Up to NG. But I think Up to NG is going to make his way over to the Sharlock Treasury in the hopes that Erdrick's sword is there, but we know better. We found out that it is in the Grave of Garen, so that's going to give Mr. Holmes the chance to just sprint on by, and Up to NG not going to be thrilled with what he finds in the treasury in the 7th basement of Sharlock Castle. And Ryu now is back into Hawk's Nest, perhaps maybe to do a little bit of grinding on some red dragons, as one gives Lavkian a little bit of trouble here. So Up to NG continuing to fight. Meanwhile, an armored knight on Mr. Holmes' side. And Mr. Holmes finding out that Healmore is something that is had there. And we've got some gold. And some more gold. And some wings. And looks like a lot of money. pretty much across the board there. As well as an empty chest that would have been an herb, since he had to use a key to get in. And now Mr. Holmes is going to speak to the Dragon Lord and theoretically decline the offer of half the world. He's going to be called a fool, and we are going to have our first battle with the Dragon Lord, who immediately goes and casts a Hurtmore. And make it another, and he's going to have to use an herb. Trying to preserve all of his hit points, but not able to do so. And now here we go. We've got Dragon Lord 2. No back attack, but we've got 16 hit points to start. Taking an obligatory heal more. And a 17 as well, so Mr. Holmes up to 33. And, another 22. It gets him up to 55. Now, the reason that 97 is the essential number is with the Dragon Lord using that Dragon Lord breath, theoretically, you could take 2 max hits of the Dragon Lord breath and still be able to survive. But we see here that he is able to attack for 49. So that adjusts the strategy just a little bit here, as now up to 92 is Mr. Holmes, now down to just 4 heal mores. And another 12 that puts him up to 104. Now, again, the range can be anywhere from 150 to 165 as far as the hit points for the Dragon Lord, as Ryu using his Rainbow Drop. And another 16 there, that gets it up to 120. Now just 2 heal mores left. Oh, this is going to be close. Another 13, another low roll. The penultimate heal more for Mr. Holmes. And another attack, and that's another low roll of 12. That's 145. He might be able to do it on this last one, depending on how it goes, and he hits for 11. 156. And the last attack for 20 is going to do it. And Mr. Holmes is going to take first place in this race here at Wednesday Warrior Weekly. Ladies and gentlemen, get out your GGs in chat for Mr. Holmes, who is going to finish this race in first place with an official SRL time of 51 minutes and 14 seconds. And I see here that it was a good thing that he did get that high roll, as 164 is the amount of hit points for the Dragon Lord. And as I say that here, up to NG is making his way to the Dragon Lord at the moment. Now, I missed the initial attack, so I don't know if he immediately cast heal more or if there was one missing, but I do see 13 at the moment here. So we'll see how Up to NG does. Now remember, Up to NG has less attack power because he only has the Flame Sword as opposed to the Erdrick Sword. So that 12 attack power could make a huge difference here as he makes his way in this battle against the second form of Dragon Lord. Meanwhile, Lavkian is making his way through Swamp Cave South, and I believe just might have had a virtual high five there with... Oh, no, never mind. They're in different caves. Oh, Ryu is in Charlotte Castle as well. And Pyrelight noting that the initial attack was Dragon Lord attacking first, which is going to make things that much more challenging for Up to NG, as he only has 3 heal mores left. Now 2. And now he's debating. Does he want to... Okay, he's going to cast heal more here, and now I think he's doing the calculating and Is he going to throw an attack here or a YOLO hurt more? No, he's going to go with the attack. And he is going to use his last heal more. So if he doesn't get it done here in the next strike or two, that will send him back to the castle. Here's the YOLO shot, and it is not enough. So up to NG is going to have to start back over, and this opens the door for Ryu Station to perhaps take second here among our runners. Now, along with the 4 runners that you see here, there are also 5 who are not featured on stream. JJ Schmidt 77, Sparkover, Centroid 4, Smashy, and Synth Pop is back. So as they tend to go along here, if they finish among the ranks here, we'll keep you updated along that here on the Randomania Network. And we'll see if in a little bit if we can perhaps hear from Mr. Holmes, although I think he's going to go and have a little celebratory chess match. So as he does that, Ryu is still navigating Sharlock. Up to NG is back into Sharlock Castle, and Lavkian is now getting the Staff of Rain. And Ryu utilizing another herb. Now up to NG, now up to level 14, so this should make things at least a little bit easier. But again, not having the Erdrick Sword, I mean, it does boost up his attack power to 138. So a nice 6 strength gain for level 14. So it will be somewhat easier. Plus he has another 2 hit point cushion, plus a little bit more defense. I mean, it's still going to be rather difficult with 88 defense, but we'll see here as now Ryu getting up to level 14. And what a time to do so on the 7th basement of Sharlock. So that will make it considerably easier for Ryu, who has an attack power of 150. So every swipe on that second form of Dragon Lord is going to do anywhere between 12 and 25 hit points of damage. As you can see the statistics up on the screen, a nice new feature that was recently added into the mix here to make things a little bit easier to track along the way here, and that certainly is appreciated to all of the folks behind the scenes who put that together, and a lot more technologically savvy than I am, that's for sure. So now Ryu heading on down is about to take on the mini boss, the Armored Knight, who we know has a little bit of trouble with the Heal More spell, but has hurt, which makes things a little bit easier in terms of withstanding damage. As Lavkian now doing a little bit more exploration and is passing the cave. And I believe Ryu finding out about the Heal More and is now taking out the Armored Knight. So with 98 MP, going to use, I guess, his, he'll save his last herb, or no, he'll use it here to get up to 99, and is ideally going to decline the offer of the Dragon Lord, and he will be called a fool. So we'll see how he does against the Dragon Lord. Now, the fact that he's got 150 attack power, that's going to make things considerably easier. Not by any means a cakewalk, but still somewhat easier. So now with 69 HP, we've got Dragon Lord 2 and no back attack. All right, so he starts off with a 22. Ooh, and a pretty hefty attack as there's another 18 to bring it up to 40. But still ample heal mores. He's still got 10 heal mores left, so barring a miss key, this should be essentially a free fight for Ryu Station. Up to NG will have a little bit more of a challenge, but we'll see how he does here, as that should be getting started hopefully at the conclusion of Ryu's fight here, as he's now up to 90. Oh, and a huge 24, so that's now 114 for Ryu. As up to NG dispatching of the mini boss, the Armored Knight. And another 22, that gets it up to 136. And now Dragon Lord 1 up to NG is working on here. And another 20, that gets him up to 156. So one more attack for Ryu, and that should take care of it here. And yeah, Smashy asking in chat, Erdrick's was Erdrick's sword was in the grave of Garen, and Smashy actually I just was going to note here, yeah, Smashy off stream finishing in second with an official time of 58:01. Just 20 seconds behind him was Centroid 4 finishing in third with 58:21. And meanwhile, for the stream here, get out your GGs for Ryu Station. He is going to finish up here in fourth place overall with an official SRL time of 1 hour and 8 seconds. So great runs all around, as now up to NG is battling the Dragon Lord. We know that 164 HP is the target number. It was a high roll as far as the amount of hit points for Dragon Lord 2. And up to NG not having Erdrick's sword either. It'll be a little bit of an uphill battle. He's got 5 heal mores left. And with the 138 attack power, he's got a range of 9 to 19 hit points per attack. And Ryu noting in the chat that that was a fun one. It most certainly was. It was very interesting all along the way here. As up to NG now battling the Dragon Lord, is down to his second to last heal more, as Lavkian is now in Breckenary. And using his last heal more, so only a couple more attacks. And he does it. So up to NG has taken out the Dragon Lord as well. He's going to go back to the castle and get his accolades. And those accolades can go along here in chat as well. Make sure to get out your GGs for up to NG. He's going to finish in 5th place and 3rd among our streamers here, but 5th overall with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 35 seconds. So now Lavkian with level 13. Now, he was the only one amongst the runners that we had featured here who used a strength agility build. So that means that hit points are going to be even fewer and further between. And as you saw, I mean, 2 of our runners finishing at level 14 with the strength HP build had 99. Mr. Holmes with the strength HP build going at level 13 with only the 97 HP, which is generally the recommended bare minimum. And even then, he had to endure an attack for 49 hit points on a couple of occasions from the Dragon Lord. So a bit of a challenge there. So we'll see how Lavkian is able to work through it here. So I'd imagine that Lavkian is making his way, and okay, Smashy noting that he started his Sherlock dive at 13 and fought on the way down for 14, and that seemed to be the pretty, for the most part, popular play, as a lot of people kind of got to 13 and fought their way down. And it looks like we've got Ryu Station joining us here in chat. Ryu, GG on the fourth place finish, just shy of going sub-hour.
Oh, I know. I should have just attacked the Dragon Lord instead of healing, but I wanted to play it safe on that last attack, and that cost me that 8 seconds there.
Well, I mean, you weren't really sure. I mean, you probably could have figured with the odds, if it's a low roll, I've got it. But in this case, it turned out to be a high hit point total for the Dragon Lord 2, as it was just 1 point off of the max at 164.
Yeah, I didn't want to take the risk and end up, getting sent back home.
Yeah, and then being well above 1 hour as opposed to just a mere 8 seconds above 1 hour.
But still, 1 hour, 8 seconds, I cannot complain. I mean, that's close enough to sub-hour.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, given where the other finishes were, I mean, Smashy and Centroid, they finished 20 seconds apart from one another at 58:01 and 58:21. I mean, that's just, just about 2 minutes ahead of where you were. I mean, Mr. Holmes, we got to admit, Mr. Holmes is just on another level, literally and figuratively. But yeah, he finished in first with 51:14. But still, I mean, only a little less than 9 minutes behind. I mean, that caliber of a player. I mean, that's got to feel good.
Yeah, Mr. Holmes, he always beats me. I noted in the SRL chat that I'd be taking the role of second or third place, ended up being fourth. But I knew I wasn't getting first because Mr. Holmes was in this one.
Well, I don't know what it is. I mean, he's just a really good player. I mean, he's in the previous tournaments that we've had. I mean, he's finished in the top 2 in both tournaments in 2016 and 2017, and I would imagine looking to do more of the same. As we've got Up to NG joining us in chat as well. GG Up to NG.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, as noted in chat, it was a fun seed to say the least. Pretty swift overall. The magic keys getting things started early, that just allowed all kinds of early exploration, and that allowing for an early gold grind as well with a nearby shop that had the magic armor and the flame sword. It looks like that kind of got most everybody off to the races pretty quickly.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if people were going to end up doing the level 1 gold grind. That's possible when you get 2 keys. I ended up having to restart 4 or 5 minutes into the game in order to set that up. So I wasn't sure if everyone else was going to do that or not. But yeah, I felt like by the time I got going, about 10 minutes in, it was helpful to have all the equipment. So hopefully it worked out.
Yeah, I know.
You did that restart about 5 minutes in.
Yeah, what happened was I wanted to scout it out and see if I could find a town first. I ended up finding Brockenary first, and the only weapon that was available there was the flame sword. So in order to get off the ground, I figured I had to restart and get a lot of gold. I was gonna potentially just do like a little ghetto gold grind and get like some intermediate equipment to just not have to trying to save a couple minutes. But since the flame sword was all that was there and the magic armor was there as well, I restarted and just went for it that way. So it took me about 10 minutes before I was actually killing things, but I was fighting the Dragon Lord and nobody had finished yet, so I think it worked out for me.
Yeah, it was a very good strategy, especially as I look here at the different statistics, because that's a new fancy commentator's tool here, as I'm able to see what all the stats are of the different enemies and whatnot. A lot of the early game enemies were going to be rather troublesome had you gone with a kind of more standard grind of some of those early level enemies. I'm looking here, the slime, the ghost, and the magidrake all had the combo of sleep and hurt. And then you had those drakeys with hurt more as well. So there were very few gimmies in terms of those early level enemies.
Oh, that's great, because I skipped right over those guys and went for the what was there, the druids and the skeletons in the secondary zone. I just went for those on level 1, and a lot of the enemies, except for maybe those early ones you mentioned, a lot of them were really pretty tame in this one. And then we ended up with red dragons and arbor knights spamming hurt. So I decided as a backup plan to pick up an extra level on the way down in Charlock. I felt like it was possible to win at 13 if I had the sword, which of course I didn't find. But as a backup plan, I figured I'd just get 14 on the way, and I think I could have won that fight, but I had some bad luck in it, so had to redive.
Yeah, that certainly was a challenge, to say the least. And as I look at the stats, yeah, both the Armored Knight and the Red Dragons with 75% hurt casting.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, as Centroid noting in chat, the Red Dragons were the real MVP, just casting hurt over and over.
Yeah, I was unfortunate when I was grinding my way down. I had to burn a heal more against a Red Dragon that all of a sudden just decided to stop casting hurt for that battle. So I really could have used that one extra heal more. And besides that, the Dragon Lord won. I couldn't exit that fight with full HP, and then I got ambushed by the Dragon Lord 2, and it was just like, oh my gosh. And then I think I still did 155 damage, and he didn't go down. So oh well.
Yeah,
Level 2, second place slipped away there. I knew everybody was going to start finishing once I had to redive there. So oh well, it was a fun race though. It was like a sprint.
It was. It definitely was a sprint. And Smashy asking, what wound up being the Swamp Cave boss? I don't know. Nobody seemed to go there.
I mean, I went through there. I mean, you kind of had to, but I went through the easy way.
Nobody detoured to the to find out what the according to Melee Wizard, our tracker, noting that he believes it was the Axe Knight.
Okay, yeah, that would have been a good option as well once we learned hurt more. I ended up just getting a couple of levels on the Red Dragon while I happened to be in Hawksness, and then I just exited and moved on with the quest, because it seemed like we were going to be at the appropriate level so quickly that I hadn't actually found everything yet. So I had to hurry up and find the token, and then I never did find the sword. It was just time to go at that point. So
I actually did find the sword, and then saw that huge attack power boost. I was like, oh, well, I still need a HP and MP. Let's go back to Red Dragons. Those stat boosts, I mean, there was like 2-3 levels where it was kind of like empty eye-ish, and then there was a ton of levels where
level 2 was like 40 something HP, right? So it's like, whoa, here we go.
Yeah,
the
46 hit point gain from level 1 to level 2. And that was kind of, for those who didn't necessarily, like Ryu and Lavkian didn't do that reset level 1 gold grind, but that was kind of their advantage. They were able to withstand those hurt mores that were being cast by the Drakeys because they had all of a sudden went to 50 some odd hit points just at level 2.
Yeah, and then I actually ended up walking over to Garenham since I had keys. And initially I'd walked out by accident, so I had to go back in. There's that 8 seconds I lost, but I had to go back in, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna grab these 3 chests again anyway, and maybe it'll be a cave and there's gold in the treasury, so I can just get me a gold grind, pick up all the gear I could possibly need.
Okay, so you did a more traditional gold grind of you doing the 3 in Garenham. Now, did you death warp in the swamp cave?
Yeah, I death warped to a Magi Wyvern in the swamp cave.
Oh, that's right.
So that gave me the ability to just grab all the gold I could need, So I went and got the large shield, the magic armor, and the flame sword. And I mean, then I was just good to go. And when I ran into Hawksness finally, yeah, those red dragons just casting hurt constantly. Like, oh well, this is phenomenal. I'm gonna take these down and get my prize, and hope nobody else, was brave enough to go after the red dragon at level 8, 9, whatever it was.
Yeah, I had gotten the flame sword and magic armor real early, but I kept checking all the shops throughout to see if silver shield was available. I had the a traditional gold grind in mind in the back of my mind. I never found one, so I don't know if there was maybe one in Cantlin. I stopped checking shops by the time I found Cantlin, but yeah, I ended up never getting a silver shield either. I was a little bit low on the defense, but still doable.
Yeah, I reached Cantlin and I didn't care about the shield anymore at that point either. I was like, nope, token and go.
That was pretty much everybody's philosophy. So if there was one in Cantlin, by that point it was so far late in the game that nobody bothered with it. And Lavkian is, he is going over to the treasury and is not going to like the result of it. He is in the 7th basement of Sharlock and is going to open. Yeah, he's going to open the chests and find out there's a lot of money, but that's about it.
And that sword was actually pretty quick and easy to get to. You just had to trek through a lot of swamp is all.
Yeah, once you got to Garen's grave, it was pretty simplistic. And our tracker melee wizard noting in chat, the lesson learned here is you keep the defense bonus from the dragon scale even if you discard it later, and the same goes for the fighter's ring, the 2 attack bonus. And Lavkian is making his way through. He's heading back on up into Sherlock. Perhaps he's going into the vanilla location, which is the one thing that I don't know what it is because nobody went to it.
All right, good stuff. I guess I'm going to exit here. I look forward to watching the replay. I appreciate the commentary and the restream. Make way for maybe if anyone else wants to jump in here after their races are over. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Looking forward to watching it.
All righty, thanks up to NG. And as far as finishes, while we were having the chat here, Sparkover finishing in 6th place off stream with a 105.43, and JJ Schmidt 77. He finished in 7th place. Ironic enough with these 7s, with a time of 109 and 6 seconds. So now it's just down to Lavkian, and Synth Pop is back. And Lavkian making his way back and is going to head into the vanilla Erdrick sword location, and we'll find out that it is a fairy water. Oh man. So now he's going to be looking for Erdrick's sword.
I will also take my leave. Good luck to the other runners that remain. Fun race. Enjoyed that. Glad I got to actually get into one for once.
Yeah, I know. Usually one or both of us are here in the commentator realm. Since I'm not much in the ways of streaming, I figure, all right, let me, I'll take care of the microphone stuff, and you all go play out there.
Well, maybe next time we can do the commentary duo.
Yeah, hey, I surprisingly held my own, keeping track of the 4 screens pretty much on my own. Although Melee Wizard did a good, better than good job of keeping track of the tracking and kind of helping me along in the places where I may have had a little bit of a hiccup. So kudos and props to Melee Wizard, our tracker here, and also behind the scenes. It seems like the restreamers don't get as much love as they should, but Shaileja, who's just joined up here in the restreaming, among the restreaming folks here. So give Shaileja some love as well. Meanwhile, Lavkian is looking around and is trying to find presumably Garen's grave, because I'm not sure what else Lavkian hasn't yet explored. And now heading back this way, and is heading into, as Radiant is cast, There's Garen's grave. So I have a hunch Lavkian's going to go up here. He's going to get that chest to the far left, and he is going to nope out of there faster than you can say Erdrick. Yep, see, told you. So now casting Repel. He's at level 14, and ooh, this is going to be a little dicey here for Lavkian, as he only has 92 hit points going with that strength agility build. So this will be beyond dicey here. Now he's got he certainly has the power, and he's got a lot more defense than the other folks, and that's been the advantage here of having the strength agility build. But with only having 92 hit points, that means there'll be a lot more potential opportunities to be casting Heal More, especially if the Dragon Lord tends to be a little bit more on the Dragon Lord breathy side. And Spark overnoting in chat that she had never even found the grave. Looks like it was not too far to the east of Tantagel Castle, and it looks like, yeah, that was that top row of 3 chests. That among those was where the Erdrick sword was. There were very few who found it. From what I see here, Ryu and Mr. Holmes did, and Lavkian just found it not too long ago, and I'm not sure about those who were off stream. But it was definitely elusive, and Lavkian pretty much doing the entire circuit to get to it, as he went through all of Charlotte Castle, all the way down to the 7th basement, looked under the 6th chest there, even doubled back to the vanilla location, and not finding it there, said, all right, I got to get out of here and find the grave, because I'm not going to have enough power to take out the Dragon Lord otherwise. So Lavkian making his way back through. It just happened to be unfortunate for him that having this strength agility build on a seed where hit points are already at a premium, it makes for that much more of a challenge. As our other runners, I mean, they had Mr. Holmes had 97 at level 13. Ryu and up to NG had 99 at level 14. And you can see the difference with the agility build, only 92 at level 14 for Lavkian. Now, having the 102 MP, that's a little dicey. Even if he's able to keep all of them, I mean, you're looking at only 12 heal mores. So it's a matter of hoping that there aren't too terribly many Dragon Lord breaths that are being sent by the Dragon Lord, and also that the trek down through Charlock isn't all that troublesome. Although, as I say that, a little bit of trouble here for Lavkian against this Stone Man. Now, as far as the experience needed to get to level 15, the target number is 7,500. So Lavkian's still quite a ways away, as he's still got another, what would that be, 1,322 to go. And yeah, the Stonemen, they don't have anything special necessarily, but they're just really, really strong. And that is not something that, even with the defense that Lavkian has, with that high agility, I mean, he's not going to be able to damage break the Stonemen. Actually, because nobody was able to acquire that Silver Shield, which would have given an additional 10 defense points, there's not a lot here that isn't going to cause some pretty significant damage to Lavkian on the way down. I mean, even the Axe Knights, he's not quite able to able to damage break as of yet. And what I mean by damage break is there's a certain formula that's calculated as far as a range once your defense is below the enemy's strength. But once your defense is the same as or higher than a particular enemy's strength, it calculates under a new formula where pretty much it can only have a certain maximum amount of damage that you take, which at the absolute worst for even some of the toughest enemies would be only 21 hit points, but that's if you're able to damage break something like a red dragon or a golem. At the moment, with the 92 defense that Lavkian has, he's able to damage break most of the enemies, but there are a good 7 or 8 that he's not able to, including pretty much everything here in Sherlock. The Axe Knight, the Blue Dragon, the Stone Man, the Armored Knight, the Golem, the Red Dragon. He is able to damage break Green Dragon, so if he can find a lot of those will be the ones that the most they'll be able to do is 15 hit points of damage. Whereas you can see here, the Stone Man doing a lot more than that. And Melee noting in chat, if he keeps taking fights, he'll definitely hit level 15. And yeah, he's not too far away. He's only a mere 210 experience away. So really, after this Axe Knight, he's 1 enemy away. Now, he could try to hold off here, but now, oh, wow, he's in some damage here. He's going to have to burn a heal more. So now he is down to 11. But he is going to get level 15. And he'll see an increase of 2 power, 4 speed, 7 crucial hit points, and 4 magic points. So that'll get him up to 106 on the MP max, which that'll only come into play if he ends up not making it through on this dive. But those 7 hit points are crucial. That'll get him up to a max of 99 hit points. So that'll get him in a much more comfortable range. Plus with the additional 2 attack power, that now increases his attack range. Goodness, from, I was going to say it's so high, I don't even have it on my cheat sheet here. That would be from 13 to 26. On Dragon Lord 2. So now Lavkian is working on the Armored Knight, which we know has been fairly easy to deal with as long as it keeps casting hurt. Same thing with the Red Dragons. And now I'm not sure if he encountered them. Okay, he just encountered them back to back. I was going to say he's not trying to grind to 16, is he? But no, that does not appear to be the case. So now he is going to decline the offer and is going to get called a fool. And is now taking on the first form of Dragon Lord, which, casting Stop Spell isn't too bad. The Hurt More, only doing 20 HP of damage. I mean, it's still quite a bit. And now here we go on to Dragon Lord 2. And he gets back attacked, even with that high agility. And now he's going to risk it at, oh, wow, he risked it at 49. He got the Dragon Lord breath, but was able to sneak in a heal more. And now, okay, there we go. We got 24 in there. I believe he's up to 37. And now another heal more here. And another 20. It brings him up to 57. Now, again, the target number for the Dragon Lord 2 is 164. So it's on the high side. He's up to 19 now. With that 19, that puts him up to 76, I believe. And, oh, a nice 25 there. That's almost close to max. That puts him up into triple digits at 101. Oh, and another max roll, a 26. That puts him up to 127. So this should move things along nicely here. Another 19. That brings it up to 146. So theoretically, a above average roll should take him out here. And of course, it's below average. So that's 161. So now the next attack will be the one that'll take out Dragon Lord here for Lavkian. And there it is with the 18. And that is going to do it for Lavkian, who had quite a bit of a struggle with the strength agility build. We'll see if he wants to pop into chat to talk a little bit about it. And that'll just about wrap things up here. But in the interim, make sure to get out your GGs in chat for Lavkian, who's going to finish in 8th in this race here tonight with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 35 seconds. So to say the least, that was certainly a bit challenging, having to grind those couple of extra levels for additional additional hit points. That's pretty much what was needed. Just having low hit points, the strength hit points lower, saw the difference. Still able to get an hour and a half time. And we'll see if Lavkian wants to join us here, but if not, then I believe we'll just about wrap things up. Meanwhile, Synth Pop is back, a bit of a newer runner to the mix here, so I'll admit that I'm not as familiar with him here, but we certainly can. And we'll see what things are set to come, as we're about a month and a half away from the annual Dragon Warrior Randomizer Standard Tournament, the 3rd annual tournament, as we had it in 2016 and 2017. And we'll see the likes of a lot of our runners here competing in it, and certainly room for a lot more as well. We'll see if any of the previous winners, including our winner tonight, Mr. Holmes, who took it. I would say he took the initial one in 2016 and then Game Boy F9 taking it last year. I may have that inverted. I could have that flip-flopped. It wouldn't be the first time. But certainly a lot of great runners in this community, and they'll be involving themselves in that tournament coming up in about a month and a half, coming up starting in the end of July. And if you want to get involved in it, well, right there in chat is the link to the randomizer, as well as you can join the Discord, where a lot of our runners, they're pretty well often up for races. So you can definitely check that out and get involved. It's a great community, and it looks like, okay, Synthpop is back, did just officially forfeit. So that is going to wrap things up here. As far as our race tonight here on Wednesday, Warrior Weekly, make sure to stick here with the Randomania networks, as there's a lot of stuff going on pretty much all across the board here, including later tonight. We're going to have another of the Final Fantasy Randomizer Spring Tournament races. Coming up tomorrow, more of the Dragon Quest Super Famicom Tournament. For those who like a little bit more traditional, that is here on the Randomania networks, but I guess that's maybe because the language randomized to Japanese. Why not? Also, more Final Fantasy Randomizer Spring Tournament action over the course of the next few days. Also coming up on Friday evening, one of the Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link Max Rando Tournament. I believe that's one of the semifinal best 2 of 3s. Also, Saturday nights here on Randomania, we've got the Super Mario Brothers 3 Randomizer. And then coming up as well, I believe, as I've been informed, Season 4 of the Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins Randomizer League. That just started up in the Season 4 seedings were brought together earlier today, so those matchups will be coming up over the course of the next few days here among the Randomania network. So all that and more, you definitely want to follow Randomizer Mania on Twitter, and make sure to stick with the channel here, as there are a lot of things coming your way. So make sure to give our runners a follow. Oh, goodness. Lavkin noting in chat that apparently salt was coming through on his mic. So that's, yeah, that's probably all the better then that we didn't have you come in here on to chat then, if there's a salty microphone. But nonetheless, make sure to give all of our runners a follow here. The featured ones, Ryu Station, Mr. Holmes, Lavkian, and Up to NG. Also, make sure to give the folks behind the scenes a follow as well here, including our restreamer for the evening. That would be none other than Shylesha, as well as our tracker doing a fantastic job, Melee Wizard. And I suppose you can give me a follow as well. I'm Ferran Burgundy, and that is going to wrap it up. Until next time, may your moves be excellent and your seeds stay classy. Good night, everyone.